Hey, happy Sunday.
Good morning.
So this, again, this month is nothing but about differences, actually, being creative. How are we all creative? And over and over again the past week, I kept coming across versions of the Tower of Babel story. So we're going to start there in terms of being creative. Now, I actually did some research, and there's versions of this story in just about every culture. I'm not going to go through them all, but just so you know, it is possible to find just about every culture some version of this story. And the story is people wanted to be so close to God that they started constructing a tower so they could reach God. And in the middle of that, God went, yeah, right. Let's make you all be different languages. And all of a sudden, the tower didn't get built anymore because they couldn't understand each other. What happened? Is it really a tower, or is that really where we came from? We were so close to God, and we were all speaking the same language, that language of love, and that language of being able to just know what everybody is at all times and being together, to deciding, what is that going to be like if we can't do that? And that place is the earth. Is that why that story is in all different cultures? Something to think about. And in that, is it really just the languages, or is it that all of a sudden you are so aware that you can be individual and you can be your own unique self and also be part of this something more? And are you going to be able to have the patience to listen to each other, to find out what you like and what I like and what things we can do together based on all of that creativity? Something to think about. I'm not sure God smited anybody with the Tower of Babel so much as we chose to come here and experience something that we were not used to. That you are already part of God and close to God. And what other way to get a perspective of that other than being something totally starkly different? And yet we try to find ways, and yet we're the same with each other. So this week in Erie, there's a thing called Bike Week or Roar on the Shore, and you saw all kinds of people with their motorbikes and all that kind of camaraderie and all traveling together, and they found their common language. They could hang out together for a week and understand each other, maybe just a little bit better than what they feel like in their own patches of the world. Yesterday I took my children to the medieval fair. What other place on the planet can you go and totally dress up as anything you want to be and totally fit in at the same time? I saw a male fairy who was quite extraordinary. I wish I would have that costume. It was great. I saw Indiana Jones in the middle of the medieval fair. I'm like, well, I guess it's, I don't know. He went after the Grail. I guess that's kind of maybe. And he had a whip and he was carrying around the Grail the whole day. You know, I had one son that dressed up as a wizard and another one that dressed up as a pirate. In what other place on the planet could the wizard and the pirate get along and have fun for the day? You know, there was this acceptance of be whatever the heck you want to be for the day, and we're all going to have fun anyway. And wouldn't it be neat if you took the medieval fair and the biking day, week, and just spread that out? Why do we have to acknowledge that it's a certain time and a certain space that you can dress whatever way you feel like and be that person that you would like to be? You know, and there's instances of that all over the place. I mean, I fully intend to go to a Star Trek convention in another week and totally dress up. And I was a gypsy yesterday, not too far out of the box, but yet nobody questioned the way I looked yesterday. I have some friends that go to Comic-Con. Again, it's the same thing. And yet when you come to the earth, isn't that our version of Comic-Con from the spirit world? You get to put on a personality, try it out, see what it feels like. And yet, we forget that we're all part of that family to begin with, and letting each other try on whatever version of humanity that they are taking on at the time. So if you haven't picked one of these little books up yet, it's called The Golden Key. There's some left out on the table out front. But on page 39, he says, to the golden key, someone means to see a person with whom I am having difficulties or conflict with as sacred life. When we say we are all divine and that we are all created in the image and likeness of God, do we believe this? It's hard not to be disturbed by the amount of strife and hate we see splashed across our news feed every day. Some days there is so much separation, fear, and violence, and can be especially hard to see a difficult situation with new eyes, with the eyes of wholeness, with the eyes of Christ consciousness. When we say we are all divine, that we are all created in the image and likeness of God, do we believe this? And in addition, it's not written in here, but do we see ourselves as divine to begin with? Do you see that you are in the human costume in the reality show called Earth, having an experience? And do you take the time to talk to the person that's wearing the fairy costume and say how cool it is, and have a conversation with them and see them light up that you even notice them to begin with, even though that's not your thing? You know, and that's kind of easy here. I know I say it a lot, but it's extraordinary to watch this congregation before service, after service, and in that middle where you get to walk around and hug each other. It is just beautiful and amazing that you take the time to even do that. I mean, there's some other congregations where that's offered, and you know, there's this real big trepidation, and yet it doesn't seem to matter. For that tiny bit of time, you guys take the chance, go find somebody new, and that's amazing. You know, and when yesterday it was easy because everybody was being crazy yesterday, and you know, and I got thinking about that all night, because I could not figure out for the life of me why Tower Babel's story kept coming up and up and up, and I knew I had to talk about it, but somehow it solidified watching my children walk around this fair, having so much excitement that they got to wear a cloak for the whole day. Why can't we do that every day? Have the excitement for the cloak that you have on, and a tiny bit of excitement for the next person who's wearing their cloak, or their fairy costume, or the night outfit, or my very cool captain skirt. And then how do you put that into action? I mean, I know it's easy to talk about, you know, acknowledging, noticing, or even recognizing in yourself. But how do you put that into action? And how do you get yourself into a place that you can even want to put that into action? Now, I talked about a lot of Stephen Levine's work last week. And he talks about, on their website, and I didn't check to see if it was still active, because I don't know who's taking care of their website anymore. But they had on there what they called an apology page. And it's similar to what, there's a group, I forget the gentleman's name, but he runs an organization called Post Secret. So both of those are in the vein that people can write whatever they want that's from them, not offering forgiveness for something outside of them, but writing the apology from their heart, from something that they are carrying around from themselves. and knowing that somebody will read it and it won't be judged. It just is. And the Post-Secret, he actually travels around the United States now. And if you haven't checked that out, it's really quite extraordinary. He decided to let people send him postcards. He had a post office box, and they could write whatever they wanted on the postcard. He promised to read it and not judge it. So he got thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of postcards. And he has published a couple of books now, and he travels around the country. It's called the Post-Secret lecture series. And he shows some of the postcards. And people, sometimes they write it in their own hand, and sometimes they clip out, things from the newspaper and paste it together, or they have a picture, or whatever it is. And they run the gamut from, I was a soldier in the war, and I was very good at it. That's my secret. To, I stole a pack of gum when I was 6. To, I never told my mom it was me that took the cookie. To anything, everything. And all these things that people carry around inside that once you say it, somehow lightens that load a little bit and lets you know that you are pretty similar to everybody else. It's part of the experience. And to not hold on to that in terms of weighing yourself down. So, and they did the same thing, the Levines did the same thing with their apology page. People could write in, say whatever. And then, and I don't remember the name of the ceremony, but they were also part of a ceremony where after a week retreat, they called themselves it was like the apology eaters, or it was something like that, where people could actually voice to another person and know that person would remain still. Can you imagine the training involved to know that you wouldn't twitch your face or roll your eyes or do some kind of body language for these poor people that were saying what they wanted to say for an apology, what they wanted to say that they had done, or they believed they had done, that they wanted to get off. I think sometimes to feel better in our own cloaks, we need to know that we don't have to hold on to all the experiences as something that's good or bad, especially the bad, because we're really good about beating ourselves up. And if we're putting the cloak on right, I don't know how many times yesterday I had to fix my son's his hat, or make sure the sword was just right. After a while it didn't matter, but it took a little bit to be comfortable. After they realized that everybody in the place were having costume malfunction issues, it was a little bit better. And we all have costume malfunction issues, and sometimes saying I'm sorry for this, is a way to get that back on. Sew the button up. As part of healing, and as we move into, I just spoke to Joe about this, the going towards our World Day of Prayer. The theme this year is healing. That seems to be my theme somehow for the entire year. But moving towards that and taking these suggestions that other people have done. There's a basket in the back, and some of you were given a blank piece of paper. If you would like an apology basket, it's back there. And just like these people, we promise to read it and then just let it go. So you've been heard, and the universe has heard you, and you have been able to take it out of your heart in some fashion, put it in a basket, and walk away. So that's a new addition to the table in the back. It'll be there for any time you'd like to use it. I know sometimes we do the burning bowl ceremony where we burn up our things. I think this is a little bit different, because it can be anything at any time. It can be something way from our past, and it can be something like, I don't know, you feel guilty about something that maybe you did or didn't do that morning. Like, my kids got a piece of fruit and a breakfast bar for breakfast. Sometimes I gotta wrap my brain around, you're not a terrible mom, at least I got fed, But sometimes it's as simple as that. And sometimes it's more like saying sorry to yourself and aligning ourselves back up, putting our cloak back on the way we'd like it to show, to live, and allowing others to do the same. There's so much strength in the differences, and so much strength in coming back from that place of sorrow or grief or apology. I was reminded again, there is an extraordinary organization, and they're actually housed in Edinboro. It's called Emma's Footprints. And it's amazing that it was built out of complete sorrow and grief and their own sense of doubt. Because for that family, Tracy and her family, her baby passed at like a little over 8 months of pregnancy. And through that, and through her process and her family's process, they built this entire organization to help families in the same situation. Because in this area, there was not an organization where these people could know that they were not different, that they didn't do anything wrong, that they could be supported in that. And what I found fascinating in watching, I don't know how old the organization is, but I know her grief started about 9 years ago. She has helped, or that organization has helped a ridiculous amount of families, including as far away as Pittsburgh now. And one story she posted just recently was a lady that she decided to speak to at the grocery store who had had a similar experience 50 years ago. And that woman, until that point, had not ever been able to say the things that she had needed to say for 50 years. And in that moment, Tracy was her apology basket. She was able to say what she needed to say. And she sent her, they have a kit for families that they send, and she sent her the kit 50 years later so that she could help her on her healing journey. The amount of stuff we carry around with us, making us feel uncomfortable in our outfits. So not only do you have a chance to unload a little bit, but you do have the opportunity every day to be that sounding or that recognition for another person. Even if it's just, that's a really cool outfit. So if you take a moment, just a moment of meditation, and oftentimes we're asked to think of ways in which we need to offer forgiveness. But today, is there anything that you would like to apologize for yourself? Is there anything tearing at the fabric of your earth costume, holding you back from being the splendor that you are? And in acknowledging that, put that in a nice bubble. Put that bubble above your head. Take out the biggest pin ever and pop that thing and get rid of it. You have that power. Work yourself back into the alignment. And know that your experience is a needed one and a blessed one. Thank you.